was late evening when I pulled into the grocery store lot, the sky still holding on to the last thin thread of daylight. The lot was half empty, shadows stretching long between the scattered cars. I almost didn't notice the child. He was standing near the cart return, small, maybe 7 or 8, with messy blonde hair and a jacket too big for him. What caught me was how he was alone. No adult in sight, just this kid standing stiffly like he didn't know what to do next. I should have gone straight inside. I should have minded my business. But the kid looked straight at me, wide-eyed, and said in a small voice, "Can you help me find my mom?" That hooked me. Something in the way he said it, hesitant, rehearsed, but still childlike, made it impossible to walk past. "Sure," I said, trying to sound calm. "Where did you last see her?" The child pointed toward the far corner of the lot, where the shadows were deepest, where a few old vans and beat-up sedans sat like tired animals. I felt the first small pinch of unease then. Something about the direction, something about the way the kid's arm didn't waver. Still, I told myself maybe his mom's car was over there. Maybe she was loading groceries. Maybe this was just a kid who had wandered too far. We started walking. I was 2 steps behind him, my eyes scanning for movement. The lot was quiet except for the buzz of a distant light pole. We reached a faded green van parked crooked near the edge of the asphalt. My gut twisted. The van looked wrong. No rear plates, tinted windows, one tire sagging. And then the side door slammed open. A man's arm shot out, thick and fast, grabbing me by the jacket and yanking hard. I had just enough time to gasp before I was shoved inside. My shoulder slammed against the metal floor. The door slammed shut with a hollow echo. Darkness swallowed me. The air smelled of oil, sweat, and old carpet. Hands pressed down on me, one pinning my chest, another clamping over my mouth. My body exploded with adrenaline, limbs thrashing. I tried to scream, but it came out muffled, swallowed by that filthy palm. "Hold still," a voice growled in my ear. Deep, rough, not a request, a command. The child climbed in behind us, silent, expression blank, not lost, not afraid, just following instructions. The van jolted forward, the engine roared. My stomach lurched as we sped out of the lot. I knew in that instant that I was gone, vanished. Nobody in the store even knew I'd stopped. My car was still parked neatly under the sodium lights, harmless and alone. And I was in here, trapped with strangers who had planned this perfectly. I struggled until my muscles burned. The man pinning me down shifted his weight and punched me hard in the ribs. Pain burst like fireworks through my side. My breath whooshed out. "Quiet," he said again. The van's interior was stripped. No seats in the back, just metal walls lined with scratched plywood. A ratty blanket lay crumpled in one corner. A set of duct tape rolls glinted under the faint dome light. My brain screamed. They've done this before. The child sat cross-legged near the rear doors, calm, watching. Not scared, not innocent, complicit. My captor bound my wrists with zip ties, plastic biting into my skin. He shoved a rag into my mouth and wrapped tape around my head, sealing it in place. Every sound I made came out garbled, wet. We drove. Minutes stretched like hours. I lost sense of direction. City streets gave way to rougher roads. My body rattled against the floor with each bump. I thought of everything at once. Family, friends, the stupid list of groceries I'd meant to buy. I thought of how stupid it was to follow a child into the dark, how nobody would even know where to start looking for me. I couldn't tell if it had been 20 minutes or an hour when the van slowed and finally stopped. The back doors opened to cold air and pitch black. We weren't at a house. We were in some kind of field or dirt lot. No lights nearby, just the whisper of wind in tall grass. The man hauled me out like I weighed nothing. My legs buckled, still bound. Gravel bit into my knees when I hit the ground. He spoke for the first time to the child. "Watch the road." The kid nodded and walked off toward the dark outline of trees. The man crouched in front of me, his face shadowed, but close enough for me to smell stale cigarettes on his breath. "You do what I say, you'll live through the night," he muttered. My heart hammered so loud I thought it would crack my ribs. He dragged me toward a small shack near the edge of the field, something like an old tool shed, door hanging crooked. Inside was darker than the van, musty, cold. A single chair sat in the center. He shoved me down and zip-tied my ankles. My body shook uncontrollably, not from cold, but from the sick certainty that this was where people disappeared forever. Hours blurred together. My wrists throbbed where the plastic cut deep. My throat burned under the gag. Every creak outside made my pulse spike. At one point, I heard the child humming softly near the door. A lullaby. Wrong. Out of place. Sleep dragged at me in waves, but fear kept yanking me awake. My thoughts ran in circles. Nobody knows where I am. Nobody is coming. But someone was. It happened in fragments. A crunch of gravel outside. The low beam of headlights sweeping past. A truck slowing near the field. The man cursed under his breath, went to the door, peered out. He grabbed something from the corner, a length of pipe, and muttered, "Stay put." The child hissed, "Don't." But he shoved them aside. Through the crack, I saw it. A battered pickup truck pulling into the field. Behind the wheel was an older guy, maybe 50s, in a worn cap. He killed the engine and got out, holding a flashlight. "Everything okay out here?" he called, voice steady. The man with the pipe froze, half in, half out the door. "This is private property," he barked back. "Get lost." The Good Samaritan didn't move. His light swept over the van, then over toward the shack. It lingered. "Funny," the man said, calm. "Private property don't usually come with strange vans parked out front, or kids in the middle of the night." The child stayed silent in the shadows. The man holding me stiffened. For a heartbeat, I thought he'd swing the pipe and rush the stranger. Instead, the Samaritan's other hand lifted, and in it was a revolver, not raised, but visible. "Why don't you tell me what's going on?" he said. The kid bolted then, sprinting into the dark. The man cursed and turned halfway after them, but he didn't move fast enough. The Samaritan advanced, voice hard. "Step away from that shed." The kidnapper hesitated, pipe twitching in his hand, then dropped it with a clang. He backed up slowly, muttering curses. The man with the flashlight came closer, pushing the shed door wide. His beam hit me full in the face. For a moment, I flinched against the glare. Then his voice, softer now. "Jesus, hang on, I got you." He cut the zip ties with a pocket knife, ripped the tape from my mouth. Air flooded my lungs, burning and sweet. The kidnapper made one last move then, lunging for the dropped pipe. But the Samaritan leveled the revolver square at his chest. "Don't," he said simply, and the man froze. The Samaritan never called the police, not then. Instead, he marched the man toward the van, keeping the gun trained steady. He locked him inside, slammed the door shut, and pocketed the keys. He helped me into his truck, gave me water, wrapped me in an old blanket that smelled of motor oil. "You're safe now," he said, voice steady, grounding. As we drove away, I looked back once. The field was swallowed in darkness again, the van just a shadow. I don't know what became of the child. I don't know what became of the man. But I know this. If that stranger hadn't stopped, if he hadn't trusted his instincts, I wouldn't be here to tell the story. And now, whenever I see a child alone in a parking lot, my blood runs cold. Because I know too well that not every cry for help is what it seems. I've always had this habit of tossing my bag into the back seat without really looking. A lazy, thoughtless motion. One of those unconscious routines that you never question until the day it saves you, or nearly kills you. That night, it nearly killed me. It was late. Too late. I had stayed behind at the office, the only glow coming from my monitor while the cleaning crew drifted in and out, pushing vacuums and carts of trash bags. By the time I finally left, the parking lot was empty except for my car, sitting alone under the buzz of a flickering lamp. The air was cool, damp. My footsteps echoed as I crossed the asphalt, fishing for my keys. I was tired, already imagining the comfort of my bed, the sweet relief of shutting my brain off. I clicked the fob, and the car chirped. The lights flashed. I yawned, slung my bag, and like always, I opened the rear door and tossed it onto the seat without a glance. Then I slid into the driver's seat, shut the door, and started the engine. At first, everything was normal, just another late night. But as I pulled out of the lot, I felt it. A presence. Subtle, like the way you know someone is watching you even if you can't see them. My rearview mirror reflected nothing but the bag, slouched against the upholstery. Still, my pulse picked up. I tried to shake it off. Just nerves. Just the exhaustion making shadows feel heavier. The road was quiet. Too quiet. My tires hummed over the asphalt as the city slipped by. I reached for the radio, but before I could turn it on, something shifted in the back seat. It wasn't loud, just the faintest shuffle, fabric against fabric. My stomach dropped. I froze, eyes glued to the road, every muscle tightening as if I'd been plunged into ice water. I told myself it was my bag sliding, or maybe something had fallen. That's all. That's it. Then a voice, low, calm, muffled through some kind of mask, cut through the silence. Keep driving. My breath caught in my throat, my hands locked on the steering wheel. For a heartbeat, I thought I had imagined it, but then I saw it in the mirror. A figure, sitting upright behind me. A man in dark clothes, a mask, featureless, pale, stretched tight across his face like rubber. His eyes, the only thing visible, glinted under the dash lights. I nearly slammed the brakes, but his hand appeared, gripping something metallic. A knife. Long, thin, sharp enough that I didn't doubt he would use it. Don't. Just keep driving. The voice was steady, controlled, not angry. That scared me more. I swallowed hard. My throat felt raw already. What do you want? He didn't answer right away. I could feel his eyes boring into me from the shadows of the back seat. Drive where I tell you, that's all. I nodded, though my hands were trembling against the steering wheel. My skin felt clammy, sweat already dampening my shirt. I wanted to scream, to throw the door open and run, but I couldn't, not with that knife so close, not with him just feet away. So I drove. He directed me with short commands. Left here. Go straight. Take the ramp. Each word was calm, measured, as if he had rehearsed them. I obeyed. I didn't know what else to do. Every streetlight we passed illuminated his mask in flashes, a blank, rubbery face that made him seem less than human. My mind was racing, trying to piece together possibilities. Was this a robbery? A kidnapping? Something worse? The city lights faded. Soon the streets grew darker, emptier. My gut twisted. He was leading me away from people, from safety. I thought of the knife, of how quickly it could end. Why me? I asked, my voice shaking. Silence. Then, wrong place, wrong time. My chest tightened. He hadn't chosen me. I was just convenient, a target of opportunity. That should have been reassuring, but instead it filled me with a kind of hollow dread. If he didn't care who I was, then my life didn't matter to him. I gripped the wheel tighter, knuckles whitening. I needed to think, to plan. We passed under a bridge, the road stretching empty in both directions. That's when it hit me. My phone. It was in my pocket. If I could dial 911, even silently, maybe they could trace me. I shifted slightly, trying to slide my hand down. The fabric of my jeans scraped under my damp fingers. My heart hammered so loud I thought he might hear it. But before I could reach the phone, the blade pressed against my neck. Not cutting, just resting, cold and real. "Don't." His voice was still calm but sharper now. Slowly, I raised my hand back to the wheel. "That's your only warning," he said. I bit back tears. My plan had lasted less than a second. But in that failure, I learned something. He was watching me closely, yes, but he wasn't eager. He wasn't reckless. He wanted control. That meant maybe, just maybe, I could use his need for control against him. Minutes dragged like hours. My back ached from tension. My eyes burned from not daring to blink too long. He shifted occasionally in the seat. Each time, the leather squeaked, and my body jolted with adrenaline. "Where are we going?" I asked finally. No response. "What do you want from me?" Still nothing. The silence was worse than words. At last, he said, "You'll find out." My stomach nodded. A green glow appeared in the distance. A gas station. One of the few places still open this late. I swallowed, an idea forming. If I could get inside, if I could make it seem natural. I slowed slightly as we approached. I need gas," I said. "I won't make it otherwise." A pause. I could almost hear him thinking. "Fine," he said finally. "But no stunts." I pulled into the station, heart pounding. Bright fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The place was empty except for a bored cashier inside, barely visible through the glass. I killed the engine, my hands shaking. "Get out," he said, my breath caught. "Fuel up. Leave your phone." I hesitated, but his eyes narrowed in the mirror. "Now." Slowly, I stepped out, leaving the phone on the seat. The night air felt sharp against my damp skin. I gripped the pump handle, forcing myself to breathe steadily as the numbers ticked. The man stayed hidden, crouched low. Anyone glancing at the car wouldn't see him. My mind spun. Run inside? Scream? But the knife flashed in my memory. He'd be on me before I made it 10 feet. Still, the cashier was there. So close. But when I glanced at the glass, the man behind the counter was staring at his phone. Oblivious. My stomach sank. I replaced the nozzle and got back in the car. The blade was waiting. "Good," the man said softly. "Very good." Back on the road, despair gnawed at me. My chance had slipped through my fingers. I drove for what felt like forever, until my eyes blurred and my body screamed with exhaustion. Finally, he said, "Pull over." My throat closed. I obeyed, steering onto the gravel shoulder of a deserted stretch of road. The engine idled. My hands shook on the wheel. "Turn it off." I did. The silence that followed was suffocating. The knife tapped lightly against my shoulder. A reminder. "Get out." My heart raced. I opened the door slowly, the cool night air rushing in. Gravel crunched under my shoes. He slid out behind me, the mask glowing faintly in the moonlight. He was taller than I expected. Solid. "Move," he ordered, jerking the knife toward the trees lining the road. Panic surged. If I went into those woods, I wouldn't come back out. This was it, my only chance. My body moved before my mind could second guess. I swung my car door wide, slamming it backward into him. He staggered, grunting, the knife slicing air. I bolted around the front of the car, heart pounding so hard it hurt. He recovered fast, footsteps thundering after me. I yanked the driver's door open, dove inside and slammed the lock. His fist pounded the glass a split second later. The knife scraped across the window, screeching. I jammed the key, The engine roared and I slammed the gas. The tires shrieked against gravel, then bit into asphalt. He shouted something, muffled by the mask, lost in the roar of the car. But he was behind me now, shrinking in the rear view as I sped away, sobbing, shaking, alive. I didn't stop driving for miles, not until I saw lights again, real lights, and people, and safety. When I finally pulled over, I collapsed against the wheel, body racked with sobs. I had survived, barely. Every time I sit in my car now, I check the back seat. Once, twice, 3 times. I can't stop, because I know what it feels like when a stranger is there, waiting, silent, breathing just feet away. And I know how close I came to never leaving that road alive.